Hey guys, we're gonna talk a little bit of review for the quiz that you're gonna take today if you're watching this on Tuesday. Couple things. So there's all these details. We don't give you the formulas, but you will need to know what everything is. So like y equals ax squared, that's a parabola that's either opening up or down. If a is positive, it's opening up. If a is negative, it's opening down, right? So you're looking at a parabola, either something like this or something like this, okay? And then the focus is always at 0c, and the directrix is always at y equals negative c, so the opposite of whatever that value is. And remember, y equals is always a horizontal line, okay? If you look at it the other way, you have x equals a y squared, and this is the one that opens left or right. So it's either going to open this way or this way. If a is positive, it opens to the right. If a is negative, it opens to the left. And now your focus switches. Your c is your x value, and the 0 is your y value. And then your directrix is x equals. Remember, x equals is always a vertical line. And your vertex will always be the same distance to the focus as it is to the directrix. That's why it's C and the opposite of C. If the parabola doesn't have a vertex of 0, 0, so if instead we have a vertex at HK, then we have two slightly fancier equations. It's the same equation, just with more detail to it. So now if it opens up and down, up or down, it's going to be this equation. When A is positive, it's going to open up, and when A is negative, it's going to open down. Whereas if we have this equation, if A is positive, it's going to open to the right, and if A is negative, it's going to open to the left. Notice what's happening here. You just have, this was x minus h, now it's y minus k, right? Our y switched with our x, and our k switched with our h. Same thing here, this was k, now it's h. They just flip-flopped. Y and x here just switch places. A always stays in the same place. So we have all that information. Yes, you need to know that information, but I feel like if you can visualize it, if you can see it in a graph, usually that's very helpful. And that will help you kind of set it up. So first thing to note, it says, remember, C is the distance from the focus to the vertex or from the vertex to the directrix. And then this is that key formula that we're going to use nearly every time. Okay. So it says, write the equation of the parabola. So this first question, to write the equation of the parabola, we can do a visual if you want to see it. Okay, think about a focus of 0, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be our focus. And the directrix is y equals negative 6. So negative 6 for our y. Oops, would be down here. Y equals, that's the horizontal line. Okay, so that means that if we went 12 units from focus to directrix, our vertex is going to be halfway in between there. So our vertex is at 0, 0, which means it's one of these equations up top, right? Those are the 0, 0 vertex equations, either this one or this one. Because the focus has to be within the bulb of the parabola, my parabola would have to go like this. Something like this. Oh, come on. Sorry, pen's not wanting to work. So that means it's opening up, right? Which means we're using this setup. And it's a positive A, so A is going to be positive, and then you got to figure out, how do you find A? Well, A is the equation 1 over 4 times C, and if you recall, in this type of equation, our focus is at 0, C. So if our focus is at 0, 6, my C, this distance, is 6. So you're just saying 1 over 4 times 6, which makes our A 1 over 24. So once we have A, then we just need to plug that into the equation, into this equation up top here, is y equals 1 over 24 times x squared. And that would be your equation. Okay, number 2. Again, a vertex at 0, 0. So we're still using this top row here. Something with a vertex of 0, 0, not the green and red formulas yet. So if our vertex is 0, 0, and the focus is -7, 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, over here is the focus. Remember again, the focus has to be inside the bulb of your parabola. So that means my parabola is going something like this. Couple things to realize with this. We are using this set of information because we're opening to the left, okay? Second thing is, because we're opening to the left, A is going to be negative for this one. So let's just look at our setup here. You can either think of it as, I know this is, my focus is at C0, okay? So -7 would be my C. Or you can think of it that I went here to here, and that is 7 units as well. So that's a -7. However you want to come up with that number. If you're the visual person, you may graph it and find it that way. If you can just remember that C0 is your focus, you can find it that way. So if I'm going to do 1 over, right, this is my A, 1 over 4 times C, my C is going to be a -7. So it's going to be 1 over -28 for my A value. And then we just need to write the equation. And remember on this one, if you go up top here, our equation is x equals ay squared. So it's going to be x equals a, -1 over 28, times y squared. Okay. Number 3. So this one, again, vertex at 0, 0, so you're still using that top set of information. And then your directrix is y equals -4. So if we set up a graph, just for a visual here, our vertex is 0, 0. And then directrix is y equals, that's a horizontal line, at -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's my directrix, okay? That means this distance, that's my C. C is going to have a length of 4 for this, okay? So my focus, if you wanted to see it, would be 4 units up this way. That's fine. You don't really need that information, but if you want to see it, you cannot hit your directrix with your parabola. So my parabola would have to open this way. So what we're going to do with that is figure out which formula we're going to use then. So because we're opening up, we're using this one, y equals ax squared. And then we just need to figure out what a is. So a is 1 over 4 times c, and we said our c distance is 4, right? Same distance here is 4. So that's 1 over 16. So you would do y equals 1 over 16 times x squared. Okay. All right, now number 4, this one's different. Now your vertex is not at 0, 0 anymore, so here's where we're going to start using this row of information. A parabola with vertex hk instead, so this is your h and your k. And then your directrix is x equals -7. So if you want to draw a picture of that, you would have a vertex at -3, 2 would be over here. And then x equals -7. That's a vertical line, x equals. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more would be -7. So here's your directrix. Okay, that means my parabola has to go this way because we can't hit the directrix. This distance, that is not a pretty line. That distance, we were at -3 and we went to -7, so that's a distance of 4. So that's my C value. I would go 4 units this way to get to my focus, if that helps you to think of it that way. So a distance of 4. What we're going to do is we're going to set this up in this form up here. X equals a times y minus k squared plus h. Remember, we know this right off the get-go. So you might just want to start with that. X equals, leave a space for our a because we haven't found a yet. And then y minus k. So y minus 2 squared plus our h value. But our h value is a negative, so it's actually going to be -3. Okay, so this is going to be our answer once we fill in the a value. We need to find the a value. And the way that we do that is we're going to plug in that a equals 1/4 times c. And we already said our C value, the distance from the vertex to the directrix or the vertex to the focus, is 4 units. So your A is 1/16. So your answer, let me get this line out of here. Your answer would be x equals 1/16 times y minus 2 squared minus 3. So this is your answer there. Okay. All right, number 5. Again, our vertex isn't 0, 0 on this one. And when the vertex isn't 0, 0, we use this row of information. Okay. So if you think about this, if we're going to graph just a visual here, vertex at 1, 3. So 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's our vertex. And then the focus is at 1, 5. So 4, 5. Our focus would be here. Okay, keeping in mind that our parabola has to have the focus inside. Our directrix would be down here. I think I drew that in the wrong spot. So what we're going to do here is we're going to figure out which equation we're going to use first of all. So this is opening up. So if you come back up here, we're using this one, right? That's when it opens up. Our A is going to be positive since we're opening up. So you can, if you want, call this H and K and set it up first in that formula. So y equals, leave a blank for A, times x minus your H value squared, plus your K value, so plus 3. So this is going to be your answer once you plug a value in for A. Okay, now we need to find A. So the way we find A is 1/4 times C, and we got to figure out what our C value is. Well, if we were at 1, 3 and we went to 1, 5, this distance right here is 2 units. So we're just going to multiply by 2. So your A is 1/8, so we would put that out in front here. Okay, and that would be your answer. All right, number 6. For the equation y equals 1/16 x squared, find the following. First of all, there is no HK type of setup, right? It doesn't look like these formulas, right? It looks like these top ones more. And because it's y equals, right, that's this side, so we're actually using this format. Sorry, I got lines everywhere. It's kind of a mess. So y equals ax squared, right? with that type of problem, your vertex is 0, 0. So we know our vertex on this problem is 0, 0. And then we need to figure out our focus and our directrix. Here's the thing. To find the focus, we know that A equals 1 over 4 times C, right? And we know what A is, because this is y equals A times x squared. So if we know what A is, we can plug that in for A. So 1 over 16 equals 1 over 4c. Now, if you want to cross multiply that to solve, that's fine. Or maybe you can just see 1 over 16 has to equal 1 over 16. 4 times what is 16? Our c then would be 4. Okay, so if our c is 4, our focus is always 0, c. So our focus has to be at 0, 4. And then the directrix is y equals the opposite of c. So it would be y equals a negative 4 for our directrix. Okay. Okay, and then last one of this page, and then we'll move on to circles. It says identify the vertex. And remember in this setup, your formula here for the equation of this type of parabola, is x equals a, doesn't want to write, sorry, times y minus k squared plus h, right? Because we see our x starting first. So remember your h and k are switched here. And your x and y are switched here. So if we want the vertex is always hk. And if you look here, that means that h is going to come from here, okay? And it's plus h, so this would be plus a negative 25. So that means our h value is going to be negative 25. And then our k value, it is y minus k. But we got y plus 14. That means it's y minus a negative 14. So this would be negative 14. And our vertex then would be negative 25, negative 14. Okay. Okay. On to circles. And these ones tend to be the easiest. Partially because you did it last year. Partially just because they are simpler than parabolas. So here are your two formulas. Remember these. If the center is at 0, 0, it looks like that. If the center is at HK, it looks like this. Okay, so we are going to set this up. They give you the formula x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 49. Well, if you pay attention here, it's subtraction and subtraction in the formula. So our center always looks like the opposite of what you're seeing up here. So this would be x minus negative 2 and y minus a positive 3. So your center is going to be at negative 2, 3. And then the radius is always the square root of this number, because that right now is r squared. So if r squared equals 49, then to get r, we have to square root. So your radius here would be 7. Okay, so this one, write the equation for a circle with a center of negative 3, 7. So this is your h and your k, and a radius of 5 is your r. We're going to take that information and we're going to plug it in here. So it's going to be x minus a negative 3. So that's x plus 3 squared plus y minus your k value, which is 7 squared, equals your radius squared. So 5 squared, or 25. So that would be your equation. All right, write the equation of the circle. X squared plus y squared equals 225. So remember here, your center is at 0, 0. Okay, and what it's saying is it's translated 4 units to the right and 7 units down. Well, think about if you're at 0, 0, and you go 4 units to the right and 7 units down, now your center of your circle is going to be at 4, negative 7. Okay, well, that means we just need to add that to this setup. So now it's not just going to be x squared plus y squared, it's going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus a negative 7, so y plus 7 squared. And it's still going to be the same radius. The radius doesn't change, so the radius squared is still 225. And that would be your answer then. Okay. All right. This one's probably the one that is the hardest in terms of circle setup. You have a center of 2, 3. So that's your h and k. And then you pass through 6, 12. So that's just going to be x and y. So I'm actually going to write the equation out how you would write your answer, and then we'll solve, for the radius squared. So it would be x minus your h value squared plus y minus your k value, which is 3, squared, equals the radius squared. But we don't know that yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 612 and we're going to plug it in here. I'm going to rewrite it so that we can not lose what our answer will be, because this is going to be our answer. Okay, we just need to plug this number in. So let's rewrite this. It's going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So this is 4 squared, or 16, plus 9 squared, or 81, equals r squared. So add those together, and you get 97 is your r squared. Now don't square root that, because we want r squared. The answer has r squared in it. So you're just going to drop a 97 in right there, and you're done. That's your answer. All right, last one. You are going to graph. So we need an h and a k, a center. Graph this. Your h is a positive 3. Your k is a negative 2. Remember, it's always opposite because we're subtracting in the formula. So 3, negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's the center of your circle. Okay. Your radius, if this is r squared, then your radius, when you take the square root of that, your radius is going to be 4. So I'm going to go up 4 and left 4 and down 4 and to the right 4, and then just freehand that as best you can. Make sure it's a circle, not a square, right? You want to make your edges rounded. Okay, and that's it. So your quiz will look an awful lot like that, all that information. I will hopefully see you at the study session.